David Shoemaker, and this is day 87 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on doing at least two things every day I don't want to do, but I know would be good for me. So, yay, I made it to day 87 and only 13 days to go. And yes, I realize it's probably been 2 weeks since my last video, and I could already be done with these videos if I would do them every day. I just don't seem to want to do the things I don't want to do, which is why I started making these videos in the first place. So today I did not want to set an alarm to get up to go to my 12-step meeting, which I have an alarm set. I just didn't turn it on. Actually, it's on my phone, and my phone is off, which is why it's on another phone, not this phone, which is why my alarm didn't go off. And I knew that before I decided to take a nap because I just didn't care if I went today. But then I got up and thought, I need to go, I need to go, I need to go. And I was already 15 minutes late when I woke up. And by the time I got there, I was like 45 minutes late, and it's only an hour-long meeting. So it's kind of like not worth going. But I went anyway, and I didn't really want to go that late. But I'm grateful that I went because the talk was the topic. There we go. If I can find the right word. The topic was on criticism. And so I looked at that as like self-criticism and how do I handle criticism. And I know there's people that say there's like constructive criticism. And really, I don't know that there's constructive criticism so much as there is a constructive way to help people or show people, to teach people how to do something better, to let them know that, hey, I see you're struggling in something. Let me help you, or let me give you some ideas or some advice on how to do better in this area. So I think that's more like critiquing versus criticizing. And so I don't like the terminology constructive criticism because you're still criticizing, and criticizing is just hasn't much a negative connotation to it. It's a means of putting someone down, belittling someone, just making them feel horrible about themselves if you can, or just criticizing someone's work or something and just saying all the negative things you can think of. It's criticism is very negative. Critiquing, on the other hand, I think is very positive and uplifting, where you're saying, hey, these are some things you're doing really good at. This is an area it looks like you might be struggling. Let's see what we can do to help you improve in that area, or connect you with someone that can help you improve in that area. And then you have the option to decide, hey, I do want to improve in that area, or no, I don't. So I just don't like the terminology constructive criticism. Don't like it at all. So I am grateful that I went, and I just heard a little bit of what was going on, and it didn't sound like the topic at all, but it was an interesting comment. And then I just kind of made my own little comment and realized that I've been doing a lot of self-loathing and a lot of self-criticism because I haven't been making my videos, because I haven't been doing things, and I have just been feeling very overwhelmed and discouraged and depressed. And I was like, the whole point of making these videos is to help me focus on positive things and to move forward in my life and to see the success that I am making, to focus on the things that I am doing right instead of hyper focusing on the things that I am doing wrong. And in not making my videos, I have been hyper focusing on all the things that I'm not doing right and that I'm doing wrong, and feeling overwhelmed with all the things that I am not doing. Like, my to-do list is just completely unmanageable and I just can't do anything. And I know that I've done all of these things before, and I know I'm capable of doing all of these things. And I just get even more frustrated with myself and my situation, and I make excuses, or I just flat out give up and say, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to deal with my life. So I didn't really want to make videos, but I mean, I do want to make them, but I just haven't been. Just like I want to do my writing, and I just haven't been. I just haven't been doing the things that I want to do, the things that are uplifting and beneficial for me. So I am grateful that I chose to go to my meeting. And even though it was just that last 15 minutes, I just got that little nugget of something that I absolutely needed. And then they had a little business meeting afterwards that I kind of sat there for. And then I wasn't sure if they were done with it or not, but I was like, I'm kind of done. So I just left. But I am grateful because I didn't really want to stay for that either. But I was like, oh, they're doing this. I guess I'm just sitting here because I just wanted to, sit there. But I'm grateful that I went and that I was able to do that today. So that was very nice. And I didn't want to drive to church today, but I was late, so I drove to church because walking would have been nicer and the weather's nice. But it's okay. It's all good, one way or the other. But I'm trying to think of other things I didn't want to do today that I did today. I didn't want to sign a whole bunch of books, but I did that too because someone bought a bunch of my books, which I'm very happy about. So they're going to give them away as Christmas presents, which is fantastic because I did not sell them in the bookstore this past weekend, which I was disappointed about. But again, I am super grateful that God is reminding me that I this book is my practice book. Book is my learning book. Not that it's not a good book, because it has to be a good book in order for, I mean, I feel like it's a good book. Other people that read it liked that it was a good book, but I also feel like it's just an introduction book. But you have to have a good introduction in order for people to want to read the rest of the series, the rest of the story. And so Dad Shoemaker is telling me all about how he wants to do the next book in the series, and he can't wait for the next book to come out, and he's picturing what my character is going to do in the next book and how growing up and all of these things that they're going to do. And I was like, the next book's not about Lanoya. It's about the teachers of powers, and it's about the kingdom and things that are going to happen in the kingdom. And Lanoya is one of the teachers of powers in the next book, but it's not from her point of view. She's in the book. She's just not from her point of view. And I had no intention of writing any other story, which is the other thing I did not want to do today. And I have not done it. So I probably will. Definitely have to write something down just to get the idea out of my brain. But then I am probably going to start another book, which I am not looking forward to doing. So basically, Dad Shoemaker was telling me how he could picture Lanoya growing up and like the next book, and like I have this whole series of what's going to happen with this particular character. And I was like, I didn't plan a whole series with this particular character. This was an introduction to the next book, which is the prequel book to the series that I actually want to be writing. And I'm hoping to get the next book and the first book in the series that I want to be writing to come out simultaneously, because they kind of overlap a little bit. But it's like a time thing. It's not time travel, but it's kind of like viewing, like they can view the future. And so they're seeing her in her future, or they're calling her to the past so she can kind of see what's going on in the past. So it's just like more or less like glimpses of the past and future. But they can interact with each other, and it can cause some issues with the future. What the past does can cause issues with the future, and what the future does can cause issues with her future. So it interlaps, it interweaves, it intertwines, however you want to put that. I don't know how to describe it without giving away the whole plot of the story, which I don't want to spend all the time to do that in this video. So, but the idea is I want it, the book, The Plight of the Wise One, it's her story. That's the story that I want to write. And then it's her future that gets messed up, that she has to try to fix, and it gets messed up because of what she tells the people in the past. So this is the prequel series that I am writing to set up the stage, to set up the story, to set up the kingdoms, to set up how everything works and runs, so that when you get to her time, you kind of have an understanding of the background and what's going on. And I'm trying to still be able to write that book so it's a book people can read without having read all of the prequel series. But I think it would be good to have those books kind of come out simultaneously to understand where this is coming from, and then to continue to write the other books in the prequel series, because I was just going to be the one book. I was just going to write one book. And then I ended up writing Lanoya and the Teachers of Powers to explain the one book that I was writing. And now I have the idea of how to divide that one book into two other books. So a total of 3 books. So that one plus 2 more. But it means I have to expand the story. So I was already planning on expanding the story. I was not planning on having another book in there. I wasn't going to make it a 5-book series. It was going to be a 4-book series. And it wasn't going to be a series about Lanoya. It was just going to be Lanoya and the Teachers of Powers, was just to introduce all of the Teachers of Powers, Lanoya being one of them. And so I just made it from her point of view. And then the next book is about the Teachers of Powers, and the kingdom, and what happens to the kingdom, and their struggle, and what they do as the teachers, and the control, the power that they have over what's going on, and the power they don't have that they think that they have. So it's just kind of that struggle, which I think is a good story as well to kind of set the whole thing up. But anyway, I was driving home after dinner tonight, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't have any ideas as to what happens to Lanoya. I don't, like, it's not even interested in me. It's not interested me. That's not a story that's been in my mind. It's not been playing in my mind. It's nothing that I have had an interest in writing or even thought about writing. And then because Dad Shoemaker kept talking about it, and even though he didn't say what Lanoya is going to do, he's like, I can just picture her growing up and all the things that's going to happen to her in the next book, and like, just can't wait for the next book to come out. And I was like, no, not doing this. And then I'm driving home, and my brain is like, oh, but if she was at this age, then this could happen, and this could happen, and this would be a good way to introduce this, and to do the cultural thing, and to explain all of these things, because she's not going to know what's going on. I was like, oh, crap. Now I have a whole nother story that I can write about Lanoya from Lanoya's point of view that has nothing to do with the main story, that has nothing to do with what's actually going to happen in the future books, but it's a whole nother story for the people that are interested in Lanoya and interested in her story and what she does. And I was thinking about doing another book, one of the 3 books that I was planning on writing, to turn into have it from Lanoya's point of view again, or at least partly from her point of view and partly from someone else's point of view, and debating what was going to happen with that. But now I'm sort of like, crap, now now I have a whole nother book that I can write and before I do this one. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I'm not even sure which book I'm going to put out next or how that's going to work. I don't even know if I'm going to write this book, but now I have an idea for a whole nother book. And I was just like, I don't want to do a whole nother book. But it might be good for my audience, to build my audience, to grow my audience. It might be a good learning experience. I don't really know how it's going to play into the next one, but it would be something to show kind of the culture for the kingdom and things like that that aren't already there. Might be interesting. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how it's all going to play out, but it could develop into something, and it could develop into different things, and it would just be really interesting to see what happens, because I could picture her at 16 now, and the teacher of powers she's becoming the teacher of powers. She now has to take a test. She has to pass a test in order to obtain this title. She has to do a whole bunch of, I don't know if it's a spoiler alert for the book that I just wrote or not, but she has to she has to take a test to learn how to become the teachers of powers, and then realizing that she is the same age as some of the students or learners that she is going to be teaching, and they don't really respect her. They don't really view her as having that knowledge, that power, that ability. And so it's going to be this struggle for her to figure out how to go from, like, one, she's been an orphan and now she's in this world. She's still not completely grown up. She's now got the responsibility of all of these learners, and she's now having to counsel with all of these other teachers, and they're still all older than her, not really friends with them, maybe some of them, but she views them more as like parental figures because she hasn't had any parental figures, and not so much as friends and not so much as colleagues, and now she's one of them. So it's the struggle between, like, when you're a kid and then all of a sudden you become an adult and you're used to calling everybody Mr. and Mrs., and all of a sudden you can call them by their first name, and it's like, that just feels weird and that just feels wrong, because you've always been Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so. You've always been this, you've always been that. Now all of a sudden I can use your first name. I still struggle with that. Like, people that are like older than I am, like, have grandkids and things like that. And I'm like, and I know I can call them by their first name, but I still feel like I should, give them that respect and that title. And so it's an awkward situation that Lanoya is going to be in if she were to do that. And now I'm creating an entire story conflict, everything right here in this video, which I did not really want to do. So I'm sure this is not what you want to be watching a video and thinking about, because, again, I don't know how many of you have read Lanoya and the Teachers of Powers. I am not trying to spoil that book for anyone. I was not planning on writing another book about Lanoya from Lanoya's point of view. I was not going to have another This is Lanoya Growing Up book. Had no intention of doing that whatsoever. So, and now all of a sudden, because Dad Shoemaker was talking about it, I'm like, I love my dad, but really, this is a thing about me. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's planting a seed, planting an idea, and he's all excited about this next book. And so this people pleaser in me just wants to come out and wants to please him. And now I have this whole other story idea, and it's just growing and expanding. So now I'm going to have to go open my laptop and type up a whole bunch of ideas of things to write about Lanoya. And I have a whole nother title for it where it's just becoming a teacher. And that's just pretty much what the title is going to be. And I don't even know what the book cover is going to look like. I have no idea, but I am not thrilled about writing another. I mean, I am, because it's a new story and I love new stories and I love new ideas and new concepts, but I'm not, because I kind of like it a little bit better when I know where the story is going. And this one I have no idea where it's going to go, because I wasn't even planning on writing it. So I know that she has to stay where she's at, and I know she has to become one of the teachers. I just didn't plan on writing that part of the story. I didn't think it was necessary, and it's not necessary. I can move on without it, and I'm sure people will live without it. But now it's in my head, so now I feel like I need to write it. So, and this is me rambling. I did not mean to ramble and do all of this. I just wanted to make some videos tonight. And so, thank you for listening to me and for letting me ramble. And I will try to do better about doing the things I don't want to do and making my videos. And thank you for listening. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude, and maybe find one or two things to do today that you don't want to do, but you know would be good for you.